when I go back to step number 3, which is around how do we realign the organization in terms of our strategy, the issue around organizational design becomes important because the design of the organization must be aligned to the strategy so that we can able to deliver the strategy. The structure and the design that we create becomes important to make sure that the organization is aligned to the strategy. So we have to redesign the organization in many ways to make it aligned to that. Now, the first step of that design was, first and foremost, to make sure that our board has got people who have got the skills that we require. And therefore, to this end, we brought in 2 new directors earlier on, last year, 2 female directors, both of them accountants. We're bringing 2 new directors who are coming from the digital world so that we start to look at how does our board deal with that. We're looking for a technology director who will also help us to be able to shape the strategy around executing that. Then the next level from the board, we then dealt with ExCo. And fundamentally, there are three things that have shifted on that ExCo. The first thing is that we've combined corporate governance and legal into one unit because we find synergies in those 2 units, and we felt it would be more effective to have one head of corporate governance and legal who deals with all issues around governance and legal because they are all in one space. That is the first change. The second change that also happened is that we've now reorganized our operations unit into what we call client experience and shared services, because the reality is that a lot of client experience happens in operations. Number one, if you think about it from a client experience point of view, when a client walks in, they walk into a branch, it's delivered by operations. When they go to a call center, they're talking to someone, those people sit in operations. When they want to buy any product, it's actually done through procurement. That's all operations. When anything happens around that environment, it's all client experience. When you open an account, it's going to go to OPC or another center or CVU. That's all in operations. So the sum total of client experience is largely driven through operations because they fulfill all the promises that we made to clients. So we make that unit to focus on client experience and shared services, which do some of the support services that we require. So that was the second change. The second change we need to make at ExCo was to create a digital transformation innovation team. Because one of the things that we'll notice that we need a team that coordinates all our efforts, get us all to focus and drive the digital transformation agenda. So that while we're fixing the main bank, we have a team that's allowing us to be competitive. Because one of the questions you keep asking me regularly is, CEO, when are we going to compete? When are we going to see disruption? When are we going to innovate? So we're going to have people focusing on innovation. So all those ideas that we have that come through Idea Bean and other forums will now have a platform where they can go, and people who actively pursue them and action them, and therefore allow us to be more competitive and get to the market with speed and be able to execute very quickly, and therefore allow us to gain market share and fulfill our aspiration of #15B. So those are the 3 changes we've done to ExCo so that we allow that. The other pieces that we're going to do to ExCo is the fact that we are now aligning CIB, PBB, and wealth, that we start to talk about customers in the same way rather than talking about them differently. So for example, we all now talk about oil and gas clients. What we expect is that all people who deal with oil and gas will now all be able to talk to each other and know each other and work together, so that we don't have people who deal with oil and gas. So somebody's dealing with the distributors who sell petrol, somebody's dealing with the people who import petrol, but those teams in the bank are not talking to each other. So we're creating segments where we actually all know each other. We're also creating universal capabilities, the chief of which was starting with trade, so that the trade sits in one place. Everybody dealing with trade, they all focus on it as one item. Then also we're looking at, for example, of course, we're doing that for vehicle and asset finance, for agriculture, so that we have competencies and centers of excellence that are focused on particular customers and delivering value to customers as one universal integrated bank. So while we have our own unit, you find us will start to change how the culture of the organization changes. So part of it is you have to now learn to work in a team, perhaps with different people that you never worked with before, and being able to align yourself to that role. That's the first thing that you need to change. The second thing is that you have to learn new skills. We will ask you to learn new skills and to understand how the organization is working. And we may reassign you to a different role together. What we promise you is that we will give you the necessary training and will allow you to be able to adapt to these new changes and be able to do new things. There will be new jobs that will come up that didn't exist before. I think we're hearing words like data scientists, ethnographists, and all these people who are new kind of roles that are going to come through that we need to start developing and to learn and to understand what they do as we move on this transformation journey.